Ah, bread. One of the staple foods of the Western world. Cheap, sustainable, and so versatile. Whether it's sandwiches, burgers, hot dogs, toasted, grilled, or dipped, it's safe to say that the vast majority of us couldn't imagine life without bread. But how about if sentient slices of bread began breaking into your home and toasting themselves on various household appliances, driving you to a paranoid breakdown where you end up in therapy? Well, I Am Bread is a 2015 physics-based puzzle adventure game developed by Bossa Studios and released on PC, Xbox One, PS4 and mobile devices. Using either the keyboard or a controller, you take control of a sentient piece of bread who desires to be toasted. Each of its 4 corners has a button configured to it, and thus you must learn how to maneuver around using physics, balance and timing. Naturally, the act of transporting bread to the toaster or other heating device is complicated by numerous hazards present throughout each stage. The obvious ones are falling to the floor, getting covered with ants, dropping into a sink full of water, getting covered with dirt, debris, spills, stains and used band-aids, and my personal favourite for obvious reasons, slipping off the side of the counter into the cat litter tray. Getting your slice of bread dirty reduces its edibility, a percentage bar that is present in the top left corner of the screen. While the physics of the bread itself are fairly realistic, it's difficult to stand up on one end as you're floppy, coating yourself in jam makes you sticky, and getting covered with butter makes you slippery, most slices of bread are unable to grip walls and surfaces in order to reach new areas, cross obstacles and hazards. At the top of the screen you have a grip meter, which depletes for as long as you are clinging to a surface or holding onto an object. If this meter runs out, you will plummet to whatever lies beneath you, often something gross or messy that will instantly knock down one's edibility. The bread into toast levels are only one gameplay mode, however. Playing as the character known as Wholemeal is the story mode. In addition, there are numerous other gameplay modes in which you take control of different bakery products, including a bagel, a baguette, and a crisp bread cracker. There are also other modes that nod to Steam franchises such as Team Fortress 2 and Goat Simulator, an entire mode parodying the Star Wars series. The bagel mode is called Bagel Race, and is exactly that. Using the 2 control points on your bagel, you must roll yourself through the course, which is marked by glowing checkpoints. In addition to having to master steering and manoeuvring, the bagel requires some serious rhythm and patience in order to learn the best way to build up speed and complete the course in the frankly cruel times the game sets for you. The Baguette mode is known as Rampage mode, in which you are given a few minutes to roll around and smash everything in sight. Often there's precariously placed towers of glasses and objects lined up in a domino formation, just waiting for your crusty self to plough through. However, unlike the bread and the crisp bread cracker, the baguette only has 2 corners to control, so often you end up either rolling along your side or flipping over end to end. Smashing objects consecutively leads to increasing score multipliers, which naturally awards you with higher grades upon completion of the level. The crisp bread cracker mode is known as Cheese Hunt, and instead of having an edibility meter, you have an integrity meter. The crisp bread cracker can smear itself through oil, grease and ants no problem, but fall from too high of a drop, or hurtle into a breakable object like a plate or butter dish, and you will begin to crack and shatter until you fall to pieces. The object of this mode is to find the pieces of cheese that are hidden throughout the level. The scoring aspect is all based on time, so once you've explored the levels top to bottom and have worked out the best route to nab all of the pieces of cheese in the fastest time, the only obstacle in your way is your own fragility. The cracker controls in a very similar manner to the bread, but is a lot stiffer and rigid, and of course will break if dropped, where the bread's inherent sponginess cushions blows but easily absorbs liquids. The Team Fortress 2 mode invites you to create your own edible sandwich device, navigating around familiar territory and even using classic objects from the game, such as the inflatable balloonicon and a sleeping heavy to avoid touching the floor and make it to the fridge where the other ingredients are. The homage to Goat Simulator replaces the Baguette in Rampage mode, instead renaming it to Rampage mode and mapping 4 buttons to each of the goat's limbs. It's a great tribute to the frankly hilarious and impossible ragdoll physics of Goat Simulator itself, and the goat has some really realistic weight to it, such as the back legs being a lot sturdier and stronger to move yourself around with than the front legs. While not being able to control it directly, the goat's trademark tongue also flops around and can grip onto objects for extra destructive fun. Starch Wars is a space shooter simulator, very similar to the likes of Lilac Wars, only set in the Iron Bread universe, and the zero gravity mode is exactly how it sounds. You control a slice of bread who is wearing a jetpack, and all of the ordinary level items, obstacles and hazards are now floating around in the air. I'm not a fan of zero gravity mode whatsoever. Call me a sucker for integrity, but I demand some believable aspects to my anthropomorphic bread simulator game, thank you very much. There is also a free roam mode in which you can explore the levels to your heart's content, finding Easter eggs and secrets you may have missed on your first run through of a level as you were too busy watching the clock and clinging to the skating board for dear life so as not to touch the dirty socks on the floor. Each level includes at least one hidden achievement, and there are some truly bizarre and oddly hilarious things you can do, despite being a piece of bread. Can bread drive a car? Of course it can. Can it ride a skateboard? Yep. Can it soar through the air while stuck to the side of a rocket ship? I'll leave that one up to you to find out. I recommend Iron Bread to anybody who is a fan of the more off-the-wall and absurd indie games scene on Steam. Anyone who is a fan of hilarious and nonsensical gems like Goat Simulator, Octodad and Viscera Cleanup Detail. Those of us who are spurred on by the impossible challenges set for us by fiendish developers who mock us if we score less than a B grade. For those of us who like to master peculiar control schemes and who like to think outside of the box. The bread box, that is.